Welcome to episode 175 of Broad Street Hustle. I'm your host, Tommy Nanny, bringing you a fun, exciting show where we cover baseball and the NFL. Playoffs are upon us. Games are playing as we speak. Series are wrapped up as we speak, and we preview who the Phillies play and how that series looks. We'll recap the Eagles. We'll preview the Eagles, and we'll make our picks. Let's go around the horn. Co-host Jason Sata.
What's up, Tom?
Jason, what's going on? And we got Jimmy the Chalk.
What's up, Tom?
What's going on, Jimmy? All right, let's jump right into it. So the Phillies, we do know who they play now. They play the Los Angeles Dodgers, who dismantled the Reds, who probably shouldn't have been in the playoffs. That was more embarrassing for the Mets, I think, than it was for the Reds that they couldn't hold off the Reds and get in the playoffs. But the Phillies will play the Dodgers in a 5-game series, and we're going to go through it. You know, we got the pitching matchups, we got the lineups, we got stats. We'll make our predictions as we continue, and then we'll go through the rest of the baseball. Well, let's jump right into it with the series we talked about, Phillies, Dodgers. First game is Saturday. Don't know the exact time yet, either 6, 6:30, something.
6, I believe.
I thought it depends on
Depends on who wins the Yankees game.
Yeah, it depends on the Yankees game.
Oh, is that right? What is the, like, what? They could
It would be like
late?
6 or 6:30.
I believe if the Yankees win, it's 6. If Boston wins, it's 6:30.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
No
nothing
big deal.
crazy. I don't know. I guess it just has to do with it's the same network. I have no idea. But yeah, so Saturday evening, first game, we get to see Ohtani pitch, which could be good, could be bad, because maybe you get into the bullpen a little bit earlier with Ohtani. But obviously he no-hit us in the 5 innings he pitched the first time. So let's jump into it, Jason. Phillies, Dodgers. Kind of walk us through what your feeling is, and then kind of how you see the series unraveling.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, we'll get into pitching matchups in a second. But so I looked at the Phillies are 4-2 versus the Dodgers this year. They were 5-1 versus the Dodgers last year. Not that it means anything, but just thought that was kind of interesting. But we definitely have the game 1 matchup will be Ohtani versus Sanchez. Did the Phillies definitively say it's going to be Ranger in game 2, or is that up in the air right now?
No, I didn't think they said yet.
I don't think so either.
No, but I think anything else would be a surprise at this point.
All right, so we'll go with Snell versus Ranger, and then Yamamoto versus Luzardo in game 3. So, quick look at the Dodgers lineup. Should be pretty consistent, right? Because you're going to get 3 lefties for the Phillies. So when it's a left-handed hitting lineup, I mean, Ohtani always leads off, but Betts hits second. Teoscar Hernandez hits third, which is going to be very important once I get to the stats of Teoscar Hernandez versus these Phillies pitchers. Freeman's clean up, then Pages. Edman will be in there, Rojas, Kiki Hernandez, and then Will Smith has been hurt. He's got a fractured hand. I think he's going to be on the roster, but I don't know if he's going to actually catch, or he's going to DH, or he's going to pinch hit, or Chalky. I don't know. You might have heard.
I have not heard for sure.
Okay.
Did you mention Muncy?
I didn't mention Muncy.
Because
yeah,
he's a solid starting third baseman at this point.
Yeah.
I think,
They play Rojas a lot, and Rojas has great, and Kiki Hernandez obviously has great stats for the playoffs. Rojas really kills. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah. Well, Rojas is a righty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rojas.
Muncy's a lefty.
Rojas owns. I believe it's Ranger, but my eyes are failing me right now. But I got to get better light. But yeah, here it is. Yep, Rojas owns Ranger. But so I looked into some hitter stats versus pitchers. Obviously, Ohtani, the Phillies don't have much history with Ohtani because he was in the American League and he's been not pitching until this year in the National League. He did no-hit them in the one game that they played. The only guy who has any hits at all against Ohtani, surprisingly, is Castellanos, is 2 for 3. So that could be interesting. Castellanos might wind up starting game 1 because of that. Kepler's stats were not good against Ohtani. So don't be surprised if you see Castellanos in the lineup there. On the flip side, the Dodgers tattoo Sanchez, Teoscar Hernandez, Edman, Pages, they all own Sanchez. So that's a little scary. Game 2, Snell for his Ranger. Once again, the Philly stats against Snell are not good. And Castellanos, who you would think is going to be in the lineup, is 1 for 19 off of Snell. But then on the flip side, Kepler is 0 for 11 off of Snell. So you would, I guess Castellanos is going to get in there, but there's no other Philly that hits Snell at all. JT is the best, and he's only 5 for 18 off of Snell. Scary. Against Ranger, like I said, Rojas, Freeman, and Betts all own Ranger Suarez. That's scary. Yamamoto gets a little better. Bader's got good stats against him. Trey, Castellanos, they have good stats. JT against Yamamoto. Luzardo, really only Hernandez and Freeman hit him. So I think it's imperative for the Phillies to, and this is something they don't do, to work counts and to get these starting pitchers out of the game as soon as they could. Now, Ohtani he's not going to pitch any more than 5 innings. So Ohtani is, a guy that's, maybe he could get to the bullpen after he leaves. But if you watch that game the other night with the Reds against Snell, they did a terrible job of working counts against Snell. I mean, Snell's a guy who's usually wild and all, and he wound up, did he go 7 innings in that game? I forget what he did, but he went way more than you need to go to beat them, because their bullpen is not good at all. You got to get to their bullpen. So if the Phillies don't get to their bullpen, it's going to be tough to win this series.
Yeah, Chalky, anything to add?
Well, top thing on my keys to the series, Phillies need to get Dodgers starters out by the end of the 6th inning, no later than that, because you want to get to the bullpen.
5th. Yeah, I would even say before that.
Well, I'll say 6, assuming that you have a close game. If you're down 5-0, it doesn't really matter. But so keep the game close or have a slight lead by the end of the 6th and get their starters out of there, because especially in these first 2 games here in Philly, because the bullpen is their weakness. You want the bullpen coming in that atmosphere when it's still a close game, tie game, maybe even trailing, whatever. You don't want them coming in a 5-0 game, because the crowd might be out of it by then, right? So they didn't.
It's interesting you say that, Chalky, because I think at least in games 1 and 2, a great bet is Dodgers first 5. That's a great bet, Yeah,
I mean, I'm looking at that now. So interesting, for game, I believe the Dodgers are the favorite in the series. I haven't pulled that up and they're now the favorite.
They're favorite to win the World Series.
Yeah, they're now favorite to win the World Series, getting past the first round.
Yep.
However, game 1, Phillies are currently the favorite, which to me is, I'm guessing Vegas is saying that, Ohtani's going 5 and the Phillies should be able to hang around and maybe beat up on the bullpen and get game 1.
Yeah.
You kind of went through the lineup. So there's lefties. You're going to get it. The Phillies will get advantage of a lefty on lefty, but Freeman hits, you would say Sanchez well as a lefty on lefty matchup. And they might take Muncy out and put Rojas in because Muncy's a lefty. Look, I don't know. We're not going to do the whole playoff bracket, I guess, tonight. But whether we do or not, I'm going to say this: whoever wins this is winning the World Series. And I know they're the top 2 teams. That's not a stretch, but
yeah,
whoever wins this is winning the World Series. The way they looked. The other thing I'll say about Snell finally had a good playoff outing. He hadn't been, this last couple playoff outings hadn't been good. And the Phillies hit him up when he was on San Diego a couple of years ago, I think. So maybe that can get in his head a little bit, but These are the two behemoths. This is what you want to see, a 7-game series, but it's 5 because of the way it works out. Hopefully it's a good one. But the Phillies I think are going to. I don't see them doing enough damage against the starters. They're going to have to keep it close, and they're going to have to beat up on the bullpen to get 3 out of these 5.
I mean, if you look across baseball, it's playoff baseball started. They're low scoring games. You got to take advantage of opportunities.
Except for the Dodgers games.
The Reds were a minor league baseball.
The Reds are
team.
bad.
That series, they shouldn't even been. I mean, that's why you don't have 6 teams make the playoffs. They're the perfect example of why 6 teams shouldn't make the playoffs. But you got to capitalize on opportunities. You're starting to see Boston lost the game last night because of bad base running. They had the guy overthrew first, or he scooped first, and the guy's still staying on and then they come back and lose. So all those things are what's gonna be, to expect them to score 5 runs off Snell or 4 runs off is not is. With that said, the Phillies pitching the Sanchez's, the Rangers, the Luzardos, their bullpen also is going to have to keep them at bay, which, I know you can't use the Red series, but I mean, the Dodgers still won 17-20 or whatever coming down the stretch, putting up runs. They beat the Giants on the road a couple times. So I don't know. I don't know.
Cost Bob Melvin his job.
I don't know if you guys are ready to make, kind of go and make a prediction on the series, and then we can move to it. But yeah, I mean, I'll kind of, in my prediction, I'll kind of give you why I lean one way than the other. But Jason?
Yeah, so like I said, it's all imperative on the Phillies working counts and getting these starters out. I hate to cop out, but I wouldn't be surprised with any result here. But I'll stick to I think the Phillies are going to the World Series, so I'll stick to them winning in 5. I think it's going to go the whole 5.
Chalky?
Yeah, I mean, for them to work counts would kind of be a first thing.
Surprised, yeah.
I mean, look, we talked about it when they played the Dodgers last time. Snell had 2 strikeouts on 8 pitches total in the first inning, so they weren't working counts. I mean, if they're throwing them over the plate, you got to swing at some point. But I feel like they're 2 very well-matched teams, and I feel like this is a homer pick, but I think the Phillies win in 5. Because they're not scared. They're not scared of the Dodgers, and they've matched up well against them regular season.
Dodgers. I know it doesn't matter.
I know, but
I mean, they haven't lost to the Dodgers in the playoffs since the 70s. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, so I mean, going through it, the Phillies lineup in the playoffs have been inconsistent in the last couple of years. So you're going back to what we talked about all season. The Marshes of the world look great in the regular season. Do you trust them coming out with guys on base? We'll see. JT, you saw what JT could do last year in the playoffs. Castellanos, we know. Schwarber wasn't great in September. I know he had a 4 home run game, a 2 home run game, but he wasn't great in September. Now Bryce, you assume, picks it back up. This is kind of his time. But they're been inconsistent. Do you trust Luzardo? I don't. Do you trust Ranger? I don't know how much I trust him. I mean, I trust him maybe to go 3-4 innings. Is that going to get it done when you got to now piece together the bullpen? And with that said, we said it on last week's pod, Thompson's going to have to also pull all the right, his decision making is going to have to be, is it time to pull Ranger? Is it time to pull Nola? Who do we go to? It's a lot of things have to go right. I picked the Dodgers to win the World Series to start the season. I think a few of us on the podcast may have. And nothing has changed my mind. I don't see the Phillies. I see the Dodgers winning. I see them winning in 4. So I have the Dodgers in 4. And I like to pick the home teams, but I just
you gotta pick where you think.
I just don't see it. All the nonsense with the bye team, it's all nonsense. That was going through numbers. They're 500. The teams with the bye are 500. 2 of the 3 have won the World Series since the inception. So that has nothing to do with it. The Red Series didn't change my mind. That was a minor league team they played. So I 17-20 or whatever it was going down the stretch. That shows you the Dodgers are playing good baseball when it counts. And the Red Sea series just showed you what that lineup can do. They're just relentless. And then the Teoscar Hernandez's are guys that, like, in the playoffs.
I think he's the key to the series because his numbers against Luzardo and Sanchez are ridiculous. So, and he's going to be their number 3 hitter.
So, yeah, I have Dodgers. All right. Do you want to go through some of the brackets, I guess? I mean, kind of walk us through. I mean, we'll stay in the National League. So it looks like it's going to be Milwaukee and Chicago in the next series. I don't.
Yep.
Did that game go fine? I don't know if
It's over. Yeah.
It did, yes.
Yep.
So it's going to be Milwaukee and Chicago, Jason.
So I would have picked the Padres against the Brewers, but now that the Cubs got through, I'm gonna pick the Brewers.
Chalky.
I'm going to pick Chicago only because these Brewers teams have failed in this round multiple times or in the round before, so I'm not going to pick them to get through. So I'll say Chicago in 5.
Yeah, I lean towards Chicago as well. The Brewers are, I use it a lot. That they got to show me they can really, like, kind of win meaningful baseball games. So I'll take Chicago as well. So for me, I would have Chicago playing the Dodgers, and I'll just continue and go to the World Series. And I see the Dodgers passing Chicago and representing the National League. Jason, you would have obviously Milwaukee and Philadelphia.
Yeah, and I'd have the Phillies beating the Brewers.
And Chalky, you would have Philadelphia and
Phillies over Cubs.
And then the American League, Seattle's going to play Detroit. Jason?
Yeah, I have Seattle, whether it was going to be Detroit or Cleveland. I mean, that's, I don't know, you guys were in work or whatever. That series was brutal to watch. So boring.
I didn't see it, but I read about it. I've, heard about it.
Huge. Yeah. Bad series. So I don't think they're beating Seattle Tigers.
Chalky?
I'm on Seattle as well.
Yeah, Seattle. I would like Jason at Detroit or Cleveland. I would have had Seattle. And then the other one's going to be Toronto versus Boston or Yankees. We won't know when we're doing this podcast, so it could affect it. But Jason,
I actually have either team beating the Blue Jays. I think the Yankees are going to win, so I have the Yankees beating them, and I think if the Red Sox win this game, I have them beating Toronto.
Chalky.
I do as well. I like Toronto because I picked them to win the division in our midseason thing at like plus 400 or whatever it was, but they are not playing well. The Yankees made up a lot of ground and finished the record. I lean Boston in this game, but I think whoever wins this game wins the series against Toronto.
Yeah, I saw exactly the same. I had Boston or the Yankees winning, and I had the Yankees winning tonight. So I guess you can say I have the Yankees, but Boston or Yankees beating Toronto. All right, we would all have Seattle versus Boston and or Yankees. Jason?
Yeah, I have Seattle. I think Seattle's won the World Series this year. I know that's the chalk in the American League, but I like their pitching staff, and they got a nice lineup now. I think it's their year to get to the World Series.
Chalky?
If it's Seattle Yankees, I'm taking Seattle. If it's Seattle Boston, I'm taking Boston.
Yeah, I have Seattle beating either one of those teams, so I'm chalk through and through on both sides. Jason, you got Philly, Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying I think it's the Phillies' year. So if they get there, I think they beat the Mariners.
And Jason, you have Chalky. You have Philly versus everybody in the American League.
I think they beat whoever comes out of the American League if they get to the World Series.
And I have Dodgers. I'm sticking to my preseason prediction: Dodgers over Seattle. I do think if the Phillies were to get to the World Series at this point, I would have the Phillies, but I have the Dodgers and the National League. I don't know if so. I guess the Dodgers would not be home against Seattle, right? Probably not.
So.
But the Phillies would be home against whoever they play in the American League. Okay. Anything else before we move to the Eagles?
I mean, I would just say again, if I don't know if the line's out there yet, but first 5, I think is a good bet for the Dodgers in games 1 and 2. I think the way I think the series will go is I think the Phillies will split, here. I think they'll split in LA, and then I think they would win Game 5.
Just to cap that last point, so Dodgers had 93 wins, Seattle had 90, so they would have home field against Seattle.
Yeah.
Man, American League was trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, Toronto and the Yankees tied for the best record with 94 wins, so they would have home field over Dodgers
Right.
if it gets to that.
All right, let's move to the Eagles. So the Eagles won another close. Well, I guess the score wasn't as close, but game kind of got close. 31-25. They took a safety, so the score was really 31-23. Either way, they did cover the spread, which I want to say we all might have had the Eagles covering.
I think so.
Yes.
I think so, right? But the game did go. It was a lot more points were scored than I thought, at least. And then it was the bizarro world Rams game. It was the tale two halves. Except this time the Eagles looked great in the first half and terrible in the second half. Where the Rams, it was the other way around. But it's another one where the Eagles played not that well for 60 minutes, and like they have for a year and a half now, came away with the win. Jason, how did you recap that one?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, two halves. The Phillies, the Eagles played really well in the first half, terrible in the second half. I think the play, obviously with the block punt, I think kind of put the Tampa Bay back on their heels. You got to give credit to this Michael Clay, I guess his name is, their special teams coach. To me, he won 2 games for them this year, because I think that play just totally gave the Eagles all kinds of momentum in that first half. Obviously, put them ahead there, and then they just kind of, their offense was clicking. Tampa Bay really wasn't doing much offensively on their end, and then they got that 69,000-yard field goal at the end of the half, which kind of maybe gave them a little bit of pep going into the locker room at halftime. Second half, totally different ball game here. For the most part, Tampa Bay started moving the ball on the Eagles. Eagles offense, -1 yard in the second half. Hurts 0 for 8. Basically, what Bowles did at halftime was, because I did watch some tape of Hurts, Bowles put a spy on him in the second half, and he pretty much, they were blitzing a lot in the first half. That wasn't working. He pretty much stopped blitzing and put a spy on him, and, Hurts, multiple instances of either him just holding the ball and not getting rid of it, or trying to force the ball to A.J. Brown when other guys are open. Just Hurts was not good in that half, but you can't just totally blame him. I think the offensive line has not been good this year at all, and you could basically look at Saquon Barkley. He has nowhere to go. He gets the ball. There's no holes. I think he's got this second worst yardage before being hit in the league, which, right there tells you he's got nowhere to go once he gets the ball. That's an issue, right? What's the issue there? Juergens has not been good. Dickerson is probably still banged up, and I don't know if Steen is doing what he, I don't know if he's replacing Becton as much as you would hope that, that Steen would. So I think that's an issue. I think it's a big issue. On the flip side, I can't go without mentioning Mitchell on defense. I think he's become a star. I mean, well, I don't know. He might be as important as Jalen Carter is on their defense, because he's just become a shutdown corner.
Yeah, and he's learned to travel. That's the thing. He goes with this. He moved around. He didn't stay on one side this year.
He's probably a top 5 cornerback now. So, you lose him or you lose Carter, I think big problems on defense. So he's become probably just as important as Carter.
Yeah. So just something that you mentioned about Barkley and the offense line. I have actually, agree. I think the offense line's not been good, but I will tell you, whether you want to believe this or not, if you look at some advanced metrics when it comes to running back, Barkley's got one of the slowest times in the NFL getting to the line of scrimmage this year versus last year. So that could go towards him slowing up, like we said.
He's 29 now? How old is he now? 20.
And he's coming off the season, like we said. So although the offensive line is not been good, some of it could be he's getting to from snap to line. His yards after contact is one of the worst in the league. Now, a lot of the contacts happening behind the line or whatever. And then the crazy one, which is like you compare it to WAR in the MLB, his yards above expected is also one of the worst, meaning there's yards that they think are out there that he's not getting. So it's kind of the chicken and the egg, which came first, the offensive line, the yard getting hit. But there's stats to prove that it's not just the offensive line, that Barkley may be slowing up, and it's the type of slope in a running back that we don't see watching the game. It's a hair of a second from snap.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
So that's a concern. This game, I know the Eagles were terrible in the second half. It's one of those where I think like there's a lot of things you come out of the game with concerns, but there was a lot of reasons why this game was close, and it doesn't all. The field goal kicking's outrageous. I'm not going to talk about it every week. 65-yard field goals in Florida, out on grass, it is ridiculous. Then he kicked a 54-yarder with these two. So that's 6 points that are just trash anymore. 2 fluke, you could call them, touchdowns of 70-plus yards, both on rookies. Makuba made the coverage was there. Makuba made a terrible play. And then the other one, the other rookie, Campbell or whatever his name is, lost Bucky Irving, and he made it. I mean, they made the play, they made the mistake, but that doesn't happen. So, I don't look at it that way. But the concern is exactly what Jason said. I don't understand these teams. You force Hurts to make decisions with the football and not run. So you spy him so he can't run. Now he has to decide on making a decision. You usually play zone, not man. He has to read a defense, make a decision, and he still can't do it. I don't.
Here's my point. Like, you give Foles credit for what he did in the second half. What are they thinking in the first half?
It's the same as the Dallas with playing man coverage.
Yeah. What are these guys? What do they think? Like in the first half of the game, and then they decide at halftime to do it, and then he can't do anything in the second half.
Yeah. So I think there's still legitimate concerns, and the way this offense is run, it's inevitable that guys like A.J. Brown are going to start to complain. Devontae Smith, who hasn't said a word, eventually is going to start to complain. They run the offense by playing conservative. The way Hurts is never going to be able to throw the ball. He's never going to give numbers to his receivers. And that worked, and it worked last year, and they won a Super Bowl. Now they won a Super Bowl. These players who are now playing for gold jackets, who are playing for maybe another contract, ain't going to deal with that for too long. And that's where you're going to start to get some of this, the A.J. Browns of the world coming out. So we'll see if they keep all that together. I mean, that's a legitimate concern when you have this type of quarterback and this type of offense. It works for a little bit, but I don't know if it's sustainable, and I don't know if it's going to continue to be sustainable this year.
Nope.
But they did win. I thought they won easier than the score for the reasons I said. But I do think that you come away from this game with major concerns, and mainly these concerns are on offense. So you could argue 2023 happened more because the defense was a joke. They had Matt Patricia was a joke. You don't have those issues this year, but the offense is a problem. And I don't know if it's going to get better because I don't see Barkley magically getting better. I don't see Dickerson getting magically healthy as he keeps playing. So we'll see. But I do think the Eagles did win the game easier than maybe the score showed. Chalky?
All right. Rapid fire. Barkley turned 28 on Super Bowl Sunday, so he's closer to 29 now.
Yep.
Last year, I agree, the interior linemen have been much had been disappointing, compared to what you expect, especially since last year. So we talked about some of the Saquon stats, but last year, just between the tackles, he averaged 5.8 a carry, 4.1 before contact. This year, it's 3 yards a carry, 1.7 before contact. And overall, he led the league with yards before contact last year. This year, he's 38th, which means there are second string running backs that are having better numbers as far as that goes. It was a great 60 minutes if you take the second half of the Rams and then the first half of this game, like you said. But, some people have said that hit Hurts took early in the second half, that they called a flag but then pulled it back. Might have, if he didn't get concussed, maybe it shook him up a little bit. I don't know, but you don't complete a pass in the second half, which, by the way, since 2000, does anybody know what the record is for teams? Which, by the way, since 2000?
I would imagine
Oh,
they're the only team that ever won. I would imagine they're the only team that has ever won.
No, 15-1. Teams that haven't completed a pass, 15-1.
They are 15-1.
They are 15-1. I don't know what the one team was that lost, but now most of them was probably playing ahead and all that. But
yeah, just run. Also,
that's in the second half, 15-1. 0 completions since. No.
I think they're last in the league in explosive plays.
They don't even have explosive play. They don't even have explosive play attempts. Like, they don't throw the ball past 10 yards, let alone.
And it's not, everybody wants to blame, and it could be some of Petula,
No.
Hurts,
it was Hurts.
Big chances.
No, Hurts was great in the first half, and then Petula was terrible in the second half. That's how you watch an Eagles game. It's never Hurts' fault.
No, it's never Hurts' fault.
It's Hurts'. It's when it's good, Hurts is good. When it's bad, it's the coaching. That's how you watch an Eagles game.
Correct.
Well, I think you have to call better routes for A.J. Brown, whoever's making those calls. That's all I'll say.
Better routes. Well, you don't know nothing about routes.
He's running go routes the whole time. I watched the film. I know how to watch film.
You don't know anything about routes. Let's start talking about routes.
Okay. Anyway, so
Hurts don't throw the ball. He don't know how to read the defense.
Anyway, back to the game. The first touchdown was fluky, like you said, went through two guys' arms. Second touchdown was a nice play. I mean, Irving made the right read and got behind Campbell. I don't blame Campbell, but that was a big play. And Baker Mayfield did what Baker Mayfield does when he throws that interception at the end of the game, into triple coverage. I mean, it
got tipped, but it was still.
That was a poor choice. And they got pressure on him, and he had some bad throws, and those two big plays got him in the game, and they could have had a chance to tie it, with that if they would have got a 2-point conversion. But not as close, but it's certainly the ugly second half from offense is what I think most people are taking out of the game for sure.
And why? Well, I think honestly the most important play was Carter taking that stunt, eliminating two guys, and Mojo or whatever his name is sacked. What is it? But why do the Eagles call a punt play and have the punter run to the end zone to take the safety? Why wouldn't you have Hurts out there? Right? Does that?
Nah, yeah, that doesn't make any.
You understand that? I didn't understand that. Why did you let the most unathletic guy do it and not the?
Not only that, don't you just run around? Don't go to the end zone, because what if you just drop the ball in the end zone? But just run around, not into the end zone. You know what I mean? In case you do, for whatever reason, drop the. I mean, you've seen. I was.
Oh yeah, but you can still drop it and pick.
You don't want to drop the ball in the end zone, because then they fall on it. At least run around.
I still would just had. I don't know.
Oh, it
was a 0% chance, but that was just wild to me.
Yeah,
that's what I thought they were going to do. Have Hurts drop back, roll, swing around a little bit, and just throw it downfield.
Yeah,
let the clock run out, because I think even intentional grounding, even if the clock's over, I don't think that's not going to give the offensive play. So
the game can't end on a penalty, but so what? Then you just snap it and kneel on it.
Can't end on a defensive penalty.
Well, I don't think the offense can take a penalty and the game ends.
I think
Can
you
it?
could.
I think you can, yeah.
I think it's
Really?
defensive. Yeah.
I'm
can't-
surprised with that.
Because that's why,
Well,
like, there's
yeah.
been plays where the offense like holds guys and drive. Like if it's been like a punting play, like they'll grab him by the jersey and pull him down because if you call holding, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Oh, well, yeah. Then that's even more of an over. But all right, let's look at this game. So Eagles Broncos. Eagles are 3.5-point favorite. I thought it was a little low, personally. Thought that line was a little low.
Yeah.
Although the public's not that heavy on the Eagles. It was only like 50-something% when I saw like mid-50s on Vegas Insider. Thought it would be more. But yeah, I did think that was a little low. Over under is 43.5. Jason?
Yeah, the line's low. There is a little bit of reverse line movement because the public is more in the Eagles. So because the line started at like 4.5. So
4.5, I think I saw.
yeah.
original.
This Broncos are 2-2. They did not play well against Tennessee. Their defense played pretty well. They probably should have beaten the Colts, right? Because they got screwed on a penalty on the field goal or whatever that was, and then they did lose to the Chargers, but then they annihilated the Bengals, who, by the way, are another team that we should in Survivor kind of follow around because they're a disaster.
They look bad.
But their defense is legit. It's really, really good. They play 3-4. They do blitz a lot. They probably have the best defensive roster in football between their front seven and their secondary. I just think the Eagles, are begging to lose a game here. They're not playing complete games. They're getting bailed out by special teams plays in two of the games. Not that they were bailed out last week in the game, but I think that played a big part in their first half. Pretty much domination of Tampa Bay. I just think they're begging to lose a game. This offense, I don't think is going to get good against this defense this week. I mean, they might straighten themselves out at some point. I don't see it being against this team. And, like Tommy said, it's not sustainable to not play 60-minute games and keep coming away with wins. I think this is a game they lose. I think it's low scoring. I think it's like, I'll say they lose 2017.
Coming off that Tampa game where the weather was real hot, they're on the road coming back home against an AFC team where obviously it doesn't mean as much, when you're playing the NFC. So I agree with Jason, although I'm not going to pick them to lose, only because, one, they win every game. So until they start to show that they're going to lose these games, because they do have that championship DNA, there's no question about it. They know how to win these types of games. Also, I don't know how good Denver's offense is, and I do think that, and we saw it in the Eagles-Kansas City game, that to beat the Eagles, like, you need a good defense, but you also need to score points. And Kansas City couldn't score points, and the Eagles' defense held them long enough they won the game. And I could see that being similar this week, where I just don't know if Denver's offense is good enough to put up enough points. But I do see a low scoring. I got it 17-16, so I don't have the Eagles covering. I have it real close. Obviously, 17-16 can go either way. But in the end, I'll say the Eagles do hang on and pull it out because until they start proving they're going to lose these games, I'm not going to say they're going to lose them. Chalky?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same mindset. They're itching to lose a game, but this Broncos team could be 4-0. They blew the Indianapolis game. They blew a 7-point lead late in the fourth quarter against San Diego to lose that game. So they're not as battle tested. And
San Diego, were you John Della Rocca?
Yeah, well, the Chargers, we'll say. I refuse to acknowledge LA has two teams, but you got a West Coast team playing a 1:00 game on a short week. Not exactly favorable for them either. And Knicks hasn't been quite what we were expecting. So I know Jason and I picked him to be leading some categories. Sutton's playing well, but you'll have Mitchell on him. I'm gonna go 23-17 Eagles.
Okay. Anything else, or move on to picks? Let's go.
Me. As the Yankees hit a ball. All right, so let's get into some stats. Last week was 10 over, 6 unders. Really not a lot of noise there. It's 32 and 32 this year with over unders. Public was 7 and 9, so they continue to struggle. We're 27 and 37 on the year. We had a pretty good week. We went, let's see. We went, oh no, we didn't have a good week. I know, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm sorry. We went 6 and 3, so we did have a good week. I went 3 and 0, so I'll start with me. Won the Rams game. Now, I could say, and Chalky had the Rams too. I think we got a little lucky there, but we got unlucky the week before when we had the Rams. So I think it kind of evens out. Colts probably should have won that game. I mean, the wide receiver dropping ball before he gets in the end zone is, really changed the whole momentum of the game there. So Rams kind of got lucky, but they won and covered. Falcons was pretty strong on the Falcons. They did win their game relatively easily. And then the Patriots destroyed the Panthers. I mean, that probably should have been the pick of the week. And then just to kind of go along those lines, so Tommy and I both had Chalky and I had the Rams and Falcons. Tommy and I had the Patriots. So Tom, when we have the same pick now, we're 25 and 12, 68%. So pretty good when we have the same pick there. So that was me. Chalky was 2 and 1. He lost another best bet with the 49ers. He's now 0 and 4 this year on his best bets. But he did win the Rams, as I did, and he won the Falcons also. So he was 2 and 1. Tommy was 1 and 2. His best bet was the Raiders, which Tom, I'll let you comment on that.
I'm the only. I think every team that I root for is the only team that can't kick a field goal. So, they kick 7,000-yard field goals, except when I need them to kick a field goal.
Yeah. Bad.
I just. What's the punt cut? What's the blocking scheme? Let the guy on the end just get a free run at the.
Yeah, it was like a jailbreak. So that was pretty bad. Tommy had the Patriots, as I mentioned, but then he lost with the Bills. The Bills did not cover against the
Yeah, they
Saints.
were sloppy. They were sloppy in that game.
I don't know. They don't impress me so far. But Rally Monkey again went 1 and 2, so he's now 1 and 2 every week. This year he's 4 and 8. He had the Chargers, who lost outright. He did have the Bears, so he got lucky. He was opposite of Tommy there, and then he had the Colts, so he got unlucky in that game. So for the year, I am now 8 and 4, with a profit of $337. That is 67% win, 28% ROI. Tommy is also 8 and 4, $320 profit, 67% win, 27% ROI. Chalky's now 5 and 7, loss of $255, 42% win, minus 21% ROI. And we're not going to count the Rally Monkey in our stats. So we're now, as a podcast, we're 21 and 15 on the year, profit of $402, 58% win, 11.2% ROI. Best bets, I'm 3 and 1, Tommy's 3 and 1, Chalky 0 and 4. Chalky.
That's Meeker territory, right? Wasn't Meeker real bad at his best bet?
Yeah, he's catching Meeker. For lifetime, Chalky is now 46% and Meeker is 45%. So I think you lose one more, you lose again this week in your best bet, Chalky. You're going to be officially Meeker territory. I'm 32 and 23, 58% lifetime. Tommy's 30 and 23, 7% lifetime in best bet. Overall, I'm now 98 and 72, $1,693, 58% win, 10% ROI. Tommy's 82 and 78, loss of $139, 51% win, just about minus 1% ROI. Chalky's 85 and 86, loss of $811, 49.5% win, minus 5% ROI. Can't forget our friend Meeker. 72-81, loss of $1,598, 47% win, minus 10% ROI. And our stats without Meeker are now 265 and 236, profit of $742, 53% win, 1.5% ROI.
I see the Rams losing. Okay, well, it's time to give out picks. Jason, you were the big winner, 3-0 last week, so I will let you pick the order this week.
You're gonna let me pick the order. Jeez. Well, Chalky's he's been really good as our leadoff guy. Like with not that he's winning these games, but I think he's a good leadoff guy.
All right, well,
He gets it going for us. So let's
Chalky
have Chalky. Yeah, let's
didn't
have
pick
Chalky.
you this time. Jason did, so can't say there's anything
No,
nefarious
could
going on.
never find
That's
a
fine.
bias there or prejudice anyway. Well, if I'm going to surpass Meeker territory, then there's no better way than to make the New Orleans Saints my best bet this week, minus 1.5. That's minus 105.
Oh.
The Saints should not be favored against anybody. I don't care. And the Giants are taking the money, so I'm going to take the Saints minus 1.5 for minus 105.
Army's reaction and mine. You might get saved here, Chalky. You might get saved.
I might not. We'll see. My second pick is gonna be the Los Angeles Chargers minus 2.5, minus 120. And I wanted to take a side, but I wanted to take a total, but I'm still terrible at that. Less so with the spread. So I'm taking a spread. I'm taking Vikings minus 4.5 against the Browns. That's minus 105.
All right, you got the Rally Monkey?
I do. So the Rally Monkey's best bet is the New Orleans Saints minus 1.5, minus 105.
Oh boy.
The second pick is Colts minus 6.5. With the logic of Anthony Richardson's return will boost an offense. Is Anthony Richardson playing this week, or is Daniel Jones still the quarterback?
That's where Maker's. I think you're calling Maker, and he's I was voicing something.
Anyway, so for DraftKings odds, that's Colts minus 7, minus 105. And then his final pick is Kansas City minus 3.5 against the Jaguars. That is minus 108 for the Monday night game.
All right. I will give my pick. So my theme this week was go with teams that stink. So my best bet is the New Orleans Saints at minus 1.5, minus 1.5, minus 115. My second pick is Seattle.
My minus 105.
Oh, that must have really? Okay. It was 1.5?
1.5.
I must have changed me right. I thought I wrote it as soon as right before I got on. My second pick is Seattle minus 3, minus 120. Is that still minus 120?
Still minus 120.
And my last
so
pick,
when I wrote it down, I'm giving away something. I was minus 3.5 plus 100. So at least, all right.
yeah, they changed the obviously. And my last pick is scary. I got Cincinnati plus 10, minus 105 against Detroit. I just don't see Detroit really having the same, they been putting up some points. I see them taking the foot off the pedal for this game. And it's the old thing we always talk about. Bengals got embarrassed. They scored 3 points. Maybe
Embarrassed twice.
Right. They could be really bad.
They might be really bad.
But yeah, so I got them plus 10, minus 105. Jason.
Anybody want to guess what my top pick is?
The Saints, New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think that means one of us needs to take the Giants and Survivor this week. But
I actually was going to say if we wanted to get ballsy, but that's too ballsy. But to take the Saints. Anyway, Jackson Dart, second start. It's his first start on the road. Just lost neighbors. The Saints, it pains me to say because it's Meeker's team, but I don't think they're that bad. I don't think they're good. but like Rattler hasn't been god awful. He's been okay. And I don't think they're in the same category as like the Titans and maybe even the Bengals. I think if they're going to win a game, and I think they're going to win a game, isn't this the game that they win? Right? So I think the Saints are going to win. My second pick is the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, it's -3. I had -3.5, and I had even money, but I'll take -3 because I'd rather just be -3, -120. Tampa Bay's banged up. Like, they have a lot of injuries now. I think their line even has some injuries now. I don't think Seattle's that bad. Seattle's coming off a mini bye, right? Because they played last Thursday. So they had some extra time. Tampa Bay's got to go cross country. Might even be. Isn't that the longest? Travel?
No, probably Miami.
I feel like Miami would be, but yeah.
It's close. So, I like Seattle. And then my third pick, I'm going to go with the Patriots. +8.5, -115. I just don't like the way Buffalo's been playing, and this is a division game now. And I think the Patriots are good. I don't think they're great. I think they're better than average. Put it that way. And the Bills are not impressing me. They're hanging in there with teams and stuff, and I just don't see this be the week that they just put it together and blow out the Patriots. Patriots, they look really good last week. Now, Panthers are not that good. Not good at all. But I don't know. 8.5 points. I'll take 8.5 -115. I think they could keep it a one-score game. I don't know if they win, but I won't be knocked over if they win.
Yeah, the one good thing about that game is that the Patriots are one of those teams that fit the mold. Like, they demolished the team, but the line didn't really fix itself. So it's still an 8.5 point line. It's not now if it's like 6 or so. Then
Well, it was
like,
7.5 for some time. Now it went back up to
but
8.5.
but still, and over the 7, right? I mean, that's
it's over a score. Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay. So maybe Vegas didn't buy into the hype of that game. So that's good. I mean, saying kind of how we work them out.
Yeah.
All right. That's all our picks. Nothing else really to add. Phillies kick off next week. We're working out the schedule. We'll still be in the midst of the Phillies playoffs, we think.
Probably Wednesday.
Eagles play a Thursday game, so it's kind of wonky. But we'll figure it out. But we'll be back next week to talk about it all and see all our picks to episode 175, Broad Street Hustle.